Imagine if Mary Poppins fought off attackers, or pulled a car out of a skid. These are just two of the skills taught at the UK's prestigious Norland College, which has been training elite nannies for over a century. But hiring a Norland nanny can cost nearly $200,000 a year. Some of their ultra-rich clients include Mick Jagger and the British royal family.
We always get the jokes about James Bond meeting Mary Poppins. It's not about that at all. We're not trying to turn them into bodyguards.
But keeping up with global demand, especially from the US, has been hard.
We know, for example, in New York alone, we had nearly 100 jobs in the past few years, but we weren't able to fulfill those jobs.
To help address that need, the class of 2026 will graduate nannies from the US for the first time. But each year, Norland accepts only about 100 new students into its 4-year program, which makes nabbing one of these highly skilled nannies quite rare. So what does it take to be a Norland nanny? And is hiring one worth the cost?
Wind the bobbin up, pull, pull, pull. Oh, the chaos has begun. The chaos has begun.
Meet Roxanne, a second-year student from New Orleans.
Abracadabra.
She's in a temporary chaperoned placement with these triplets for 6 weeks. This is the first time Norland has allowed the filming of one of its students on a placement. The parents asked that we hide the babies' identities. Roxanne started nannying as a side gig to pay her way through university, where she pursued a degree in American Studies and English.
Oh my goodness. I just realized this is what I want to do. But then obviously there was talk about that not being a career. It's always been go into STEM, engineering. Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be an architect? And that's when I just kept pursuing my studies in hopes to make a career. And then when I finished my studies, I went straight back to nannying.
One misconception families often have is that nannies are just glorified babysitters. But peek inside any class at Norland and you'll see a break from that stereotype.
We're trying to raise their awareness, give them that sort of additional insight and perspective that will help to ensure that they can maximise the care and safety of the children they look after.
Although Norland is respected and well known here in the UK, third-year student Emma from Salt Lake City struggled to explain the school to her family.
They were like, what is this? What do you mean you're going to go abroad to be a nanny? That's not... You're never going to make money.
In the US, nanny salaries vary widely, but ZipRecruiter reports an annual average of about $49,000. Meanwhile, the average salary of a Norlander who works overseas is a little over $101,000. That's a price some families are happy to pay for their child's care and safety.
It's just giving them the basic foundations to defend themselves while still keeping the children safe. Keep it very, very simple. And the simpler it is, the easier it is. Can I have a child, please? I'm right-handed, so I'm keeping my right hand free. I'm protecting my charge. Okay? The attacker comes forward and goes to a strike. Go. 1. I can still put my hand up to defend, but I'm keeping my armour in a defensive manner.
I feel like I've really been able to learn what to do in an emergency and be able to kind of know what to look out for.
Hopefully you don't have to use this.
Unfortunately, I have had an experience where a man tried to take the little girl that I used to look after. I said, you need to give her back, and he said, no, and so I just had to pull her off of him whilst holding onto the buggy where her baby brother was. It is scary, but that's why I think parents hire Norlanders, because we are given that extensive training for these worst case scenarios.
Worst case scenarios like having to control a car while dealing with poor weather conditions and slippery roads. Students learn advanced driving manoeuvres in their third year. The programme also includes 3 years of specialised training and a 4th year of paid employment as a probationary nanny. The training builds on itself over time. Take cooking, for example. In Year 1, students learn the basics. Year 2 challenges them to prepare meals for different dietary needs. And Year 3 has them learn advanced baking skills. The students will even spend 28 hours on a module called Fabric Friend.
We were making a fabric friend to help a child through transitions. So that might be going to school, it could be going to bed at night, it could be dealing with their emotions. Nice way to be creative.
An entire class dedicated to making a toy might seem excessive, but students also learn the basics of sewing and mending.
Sewing used to be viewed as quite old-fashioned, but in today's world of trying to protect our future and sustainability, it's now back in vogue, that whole idea of repair and recycle and so on.
Practical skills make up about 1/3 of the curriculum. First-year student Frankie from Charlotte, North Carolina, is starting from square one.
Not having worked as a childcare professional, it's been really nice to have the, practice with the basic care skills, holding a baby.
Diaper changing is part of the Basic Care Skills module that all first-year students must complete, along with hygiene, first aid, and car seat installation.
So always think lap over lap. So what would normally go over your lap goes over the child's lap.
Is that green? It's green.
See? I did it. Yay!
I was worried that the course was going to be too difficult for me, that I wasn't going to fit in. But I realized very quickly that everyone who comes here is the kind of person who would thrive here. It's such a British institution. It's got such history and heritage behind it, and it was a big draw for me.
The college guarantees paid employment for all its graduates. Norland runs its own employment agency that collects a one-time placement fee from families.
The funding that we receive from the income generated from the agency is used for bursary provision. So we have a very strong commitment to widening participation, not least because we want to change our student demographic to reflect the wider society, but also because we know that the finances can be a big barrier.
It was going to be an investment, but Norland does offer scholarships, so that made it possible for me to come as a student.
Norland's tuition is a little more than $27,000 a year for international students, almost $4,000 more than it costs UK students. All in, that's close to the average annual cost of out-of-state college tuition in the US, and it's close to the middle of the range that international students pay for the average public bachelor's programme in the UK. One unique expense is the near $1,300 every student shells out for the classic Norland uniform. The promise of a high salary directly out of college draws students to apply despite the costs.
Within 5 years of graduating, our students who have invested less money than perhaps a doctor might have done are already earning higher than a doctor's salary.
Fresh out of medical school, doctors in the UK can expect a basic salary of about $52,000 to $59,000. Meanwhile, Norlanders can earn almost $75,000 right after graduation. And after a decade of experience, salaries for overseas placements can exceed $170,000, the school says.
When I looked at the curriculum, it was exactly up my alley. That's why I think Norland is so transformative, because they've taken this concept of what used to be the help and turned it into an expertise.
Norland's reputation is well over 100 years in the making.
It's lovely to see how some of the core values and core traditions have remained, but not necessarily everything.
The school was established in 1892 by infant teacher Emily Ward.
She created the world's first childcare training institute in essence, because she saw all the way back in the Victorian times how important it was to have adults who were supporting young children.
These black books contain an account of every student who studied at Norland.
In 1892, there wouldn't be any male names here, but now we have male names, non-binary names entered into our books today. We're working very hard to try and challenge the stereotype around the Norland nanny.
Even the uniform, which some consider old-fashioned, has evolved.
This is a cohort from 1923. This is her uniform. We have updated it a little bit. You don't have to wear corsets anymore, of course. We've made a gender-neutral uniform as well. We've retained it because, partly because our students really want to wear it. But we also think it's very important from a symbolic point of view, as well as in terms of helping them to develop their professional identity.
The uniform is a symbol of the Norland ethos. Honour its history, but adapt to the times.
And of course, since then, we've learned so much more about early years development. We now know that 80 to 90% of brain growth seems to take place more or less in the first few years of life.
Oh, there we go.
New insights yield new training methods. This is Emily.
Come on, Emily.
A virtual baby named after the founder, who likely couldn't imagine technology like this would ever be part of her school's curriculum. These robo-babies simulate the demands of infant care and teach lessons that might save a real baby from danger.
So the sensor in the neck measures whether you let the baby's head go. So for example, I wouldn't do this with a normal child, but if we were to stimulate a response from Emily. This feels so wrong.
The robo-baby is supposed to cry, just like a real one, if it needs a diaper change, is hungry or is too hot. But occasionally, there's a glitch.
She apparently has a very good neck.
We have made sure that over the last 130 years that our course remains up to date, cutting edge, but we've also retained some of those core values, some of those core traditional skills and knowledge that children have always needed.
While some of that knowledge is universal, Norland recognises that the needs of an international family might differ from those of a British one.
One of the other things that's changed over the past few years is that we have acquired an international student sponsor licence.
After Brexit in 2020, Norland was required to apply for a student visa sponsor licence to continue accepting EU students. When the licence was granted in 2021, Norland started accepting other international students as well.
We know that there are all sorts of different families out there with different needs, different contexts, different cultural contexts and so on.
Specifically, about 40% of current advertised international jobs for Norlanders are in the United States.
We know that we have a large demand for our graduates in America, but we're not always able to place them there. If we have American students, of course, that's ideal.
Despite the global demand, Norland keeps class sizes small.
We're not trying to be like De Beers and keep them rare deliberately. The only reason we are so small is because of the cost of the course. We know that if we were able to roll this out and have 1,000 plus students a year, we certainly have the interest, but it's not necessarily sustainable in terms of the intense training, the ratios.
More personalised instruction for the nannies means more personalised care for their charges. Roxanne's placement with the triplets will put everything she's learned to the test.
You think, okay, do I have enough limbs to do this? And then you get innovative. Invention is ready.
To rein in the chaos, Roxanne uses a childcare principle called attunement.
So really being connected to the child, really understanding their needs, not just from a basic level, but an emotional level. And I think that has definitely been what's been so helpful in these challenging moments. And even just looking them in the eyes can calm them sometimes. Good job. Well done, you. You try to be organized, but then you have a million trillion other jobs that you literally have to do. And then you're like, oh, this, and then I have to do that. You have to have that spontaneity. I'm equipped to be able to advise people. I know what's happening neurologically. I know developmentally what's happening with that child. And it's science. It is science. And I think that's where it's something profound. And actually, I feel proud. And I'm like, yeah. You know, I'm going to be a Norland nanny.